Hi everyone, this is a video to demonstrate how to connect to the GNS3 labs we'll be having on Thursday. This is especially made for those using Linux or Linux-like systems. Examples could be Mac operating systems, that's Mac OS, um, Fedora, Ubuntu, Raspbian, that's for Arch Linux, Mandarin, Solaris, SUSE, and the list goes on and on and on. Now, why even bother using Linux to access the remote servers? Now, personally, for me, I believe that I do get a lot more from using Linux um, because Linux in itself provides a plethora of tools that I could use that I do not find as seamless in Windows. So that's my own experience. If you feel differently, you can use your Windows and continue using the Putty and other Putty-like um, applications out there. But I prefer to use Linux, and I would advocate for that. All right, so let's get to it. Now, to log into Linux, this is the lab I'm going to log into. To log into Linux, I'm going to be using Ubuntu to demonstrate it. And here we go. You log into your Linux system. I do have Ubuntu running. That's Ubuntu 14. I think the LTS version. Uh, I have it running in VirtualBox. Now, you need to launch the terminal application in any Unix-like system. So you're using Mac OS, whatever. Search for terminal. Uh, to me, and you'll likely get it before you finish the spelling. Launch it. Now, there are three things you need to do after you launch it. I actually have done one already. That's why you see it this way. The first thing you need to do is to go to the preferences section of it. Over here in Ubuntu is named profile preferences, but check it, it could be named any other thing, but make sure it's preferences. You need to edit the look and feel of your terminal. Why is that important? I'll demonstrate that right now. I'm going to change the font size for my terminal right down to 9, right? And let's see the effect of it. You can see it's actually very small, and it makes it very difficult to see what I'm doing. This is important when you're in a channel or a video collaboration tool, using video collaboration tools like Google Hangouts. It's always good to have or make your font sizes legible enough so that everyone can see without squinting. All right, so I'm going to change it right back to 20. I prefer 20. Some use 16. Depends on your whatever you want. Let me make it even slightly larger, 22, just for effect. All right, you can make other changes also if you want, but I just stop at the font size and I continue from there. I'm going to make this larger, and that's the first thing you need to do. The second thing you need to do is to count the number of routers you want and open tabs um, of equivalent number. So I'm going to go back into the network itself. Here we go. We have 8 routers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So I'm going to connect. I want to connect to all 8. Uh, excuse me. I do have a code. So you will hear me coughing once in a while. Now, to open tabs, I'm going to right click and select tab. Otherwise, you could go to edit preferences. Well, actually, it's not edit preferences. I think is here we go, tabs. So you could make tabs here, next tab, like if you want it. I prefer just using right click to do it, open tab. So I'm just going to do that a few more times. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, one more for 8. 8 tabs. So that makes it 8 tabs. I click on the first one just to make sure that I am actually on the first one. As you can see, all the titles are the same, but don't worry about that. The titles will change as you use it. Um, so that's the second thing you to do. The third thing I will do is I'll start the script file to ensure that I'm actually logging everything right off the bat. So that way, it's easy to review the set of commands I run or review lab sessions or whatever I learn during the lab sessions for the event. So keep that in mind. Once the lab is over, you can always go through your logs and look through it and figure out maybe what you did, what you didn't do, commands that you learned. And I'm going to show you a trick whereby you can actually make these log files uh, educative or easy to read. What I usually do is I try to sectionize it by using the comments. Okay, I need to minimize this. Okay. uh, all right, so I usually use this. Now, this character in Linux or in Sixco is it means comments. That's what it means. Um, so I usually use it to sectionize it. I'll copy this and I'm gonna go back in and make that. So paste. Now I did it such a way that I could actually you could make this in case you don't have you're not running VirtualBox. You could actually copy this and write it down in a notepad somewhere so you can copy and paste it. So now the reason why I made a difference over here is to ensure that I can easily search for each section, just looking for this, I think it's Hypersun and the art sign. So just use that Hypersun art sign, will search for it, and I can go from one section to the other, to the other, to the other. So I'm going to put in the title in there, and you see what I mean right now. So I'm logging into the access server because I didn't explain that, but I'll do that later. So logging into the access server. All right, and I finished that off with this. Um, Here we go. And next, I copy this, which has absolutely nothing in between, and paste it. So that creates, as you can see, logging into the access server, that creates a section in the logs. So I'm going to put that, and then I'll log into the access server. Now let me explain how this works. Let's assume this the access server is actually going to be a switch that has been provisioned to act as access server, and how it does that is to provide remote telnet session, no, not remote telnet sessions, but reverse telnet sessions into the console of the GNS3 routers. So that's what's going to be happening. I've provisioned it such that all you need to do is type in the host names, right? And you would be able to log into the router. And each host name begins with GNS. That specifies that's for GNS3. And the router number R1, R2, R3 signifies router 1, router 2, router 3. So that way you don't have to remember the port numbers or anything. Just type in the host name and you're fine. So I'll demonstrate that right now. And here we go. So that'll be, oops, my bad. That was actually escape there. I forgot to add that you need to connect using SSH, SSH version 2. This is the command you'll be using on the command line. So that's SSH dash version 2 space dash p space 5024, which is the port. The username I'll be providing to you guys then. This may not be available on the day at myowa.doc.dns.org. Now, myowa.doc.dns.org is the domain name we'll be using, and this is the port number. I I prefer to use non-standard ports, security-wise, and it's easier to manage, so that services running on standard ports, SSH, are not affected by this. All right, and you have to also remember that SCP uses SSH ports 22 also. So I do have what I might actually be running other services for other labs separate from that. So it's always best to have to use non-standard ports, so long as I have it um, logged properly, so I know what ports are for what. All right, so let's go ahead and get this done. So what I do, or what I encourage people to do, is to always type in the help command for SSH. That lists the commands you can use. Now, in case you do not have SSH installed, SSH by default, or SSH client by default, comes standard in all Linux systems. But just in case something happened and somehow you got it uninstalled, for Ubuntu you can reinstall it by using the command sudo um, apt get install SSH. Now, for um, non-Ubuntu or non-Debian, the apt-get is replaced with yum. That's it. That's all you need to do. Now, I already have SSH installed, so I'm not going to bother doing that. I'm just going to go ahead and log into the access server. SSH version 2. Now, if you notice, the V part is actually from here, just to show that I'm not pulling this out of the top of my head or something, or crammed it from anywhere. Version 2 P 55024, which is the port number for the SSH. That's from this. And then the username for this demo at myowa.docdns.org. All right, now that actually is from this format. Look at that, the host name can actually be an IP address, but I'm using a fully qualified domain name for this. And then I log in. I'm going to wait for that to go through that process. And I am going to copy this again because I'm going to use a section. Now, this is, as I said, and nothing good comes easy. So um, it may look troublesome, but I'm telling you, believe me, it is worth it. It's really worth it when you do that to sectionize it. So just before that, I typed that. Remember saying login to access server, and I would, while looking at my notes, I can understand that all what I'm looking at here is my attempts to log into the access server. So it's easy to make sense of the logs because there's a lot of information, right? Not to get lost in any of them. I can actually know, or if I want to go to a specific section, I can actually search for it much more easily. And if I don't know any section in particular I'm looking for, I can jump from one section to the other by using this too as a search parameter. All right, so I'm going to copy this again because I intend to log into one of the routers now. All right, so paste. Right, I can actually use the up arrow. Um, if in Windows, you may actually have to use DOS key. I'm not sure Putty allows you to use up arrow. You have to type in manually or something. Um, and then I'm going to put this in there. I think I can use the up arrow. Can I? Oh, I can't. And so I'm just going to go back here and then type login into router one, R1. And top that up here. Oops, my bad. But I'm sure you can actually get the gist of what I'm doing. It's a pain, a real pain, but it's worth it. So this way, it's easy to make sense of the log or log file I'm using. All right, so logging into R1. Now, to log into R1, as I said, is GNS and then R1. That's it. No gimmicks, nothing. That's it. So I'm logged into router one right there. Um, Let me just make sure of something here. Uh, I just want to make sure. So now, when you're using Putty, you would not notice all of this, or you may not notice this if you're using Putty to log in directly. Um, You may notice it because if you do SSH using PuTTY to this server and then now use the telnet session, you may likely see all this, but sometimes you may not. Depends on how the PuTTY session is. But in Linux, one of the things I love about the terminal is I capture everything, and that makes it easy to troubleshoot a lot of things. Also, you understand the process behind what is going on the engine or the kernel of the Cisco routers. So that's basically how you log into the routers. I'm going to do that for router 2, and then I'm going to show you something else after that. So here we go. I'm going to paste. Okay, and paste this. Starting script. Oops, my bad. Uh, this I have actually started script command. There's no way I can save that. Sorry. Uh, PS, by the way, script command actually has a lot of stuff here. In case you want to append, you have an old log file you want to append to it, you can always append to it using the -a command, right? So there are other ones you can use also. I'll just go ahead and use script in it. So script R2 log files .txt. Okay, so that starts the script, so I can actually log it. Okay, script is started, and then I can up arrow. Okay, this is not the up arrow I'm looking for. I actually didn't have it. Okay, so I'm just gonna put this in here. That's really all I need. Okay, so I'm gonna type that and then um, type this next. Login into access server and just end that here and up arrow this time. Oh, now I get it. Come on, up arrow. Here we go. That's fine. And then I use the up arrow again to get the command. I hope it still has it. Nice. So I can log into the access server. Come on. The reason it should be fast for you guys. PS, you might actually get a notification asking you to accept keys. Please accept it. That's just the public key. It wants you to trust it to accept it. Without that, the connection is gonna fail. All right, so then I'm gonna log into. Oops, can I up arrow? No, I can't. No, I can't. I actually have to paste it because now I'm in the access server. So paste, and then I'm gonna put in this in here and say login into not access server but R2, and I should be okay with this. And I can up arrow, go back in here and remove this. Okay, and I can just type GNS R2, and I'm in router 2. Now, we're just going to run another different command here just to show you. Again, you need to paste it because now I'm in router 2. Um, I'm going to copy this and paste it. All this while, take note the script command is actually logging my files for me. So this is part of what makes it easy. Um, display um, running config. Running config. Okay, here we go. And I'm going to up arrow, go back here, remove the ampersand or the @ sign. Sorry. Okay, and we're done. And I just to show run. Now that shows me that what I'm doing there is to list out the running config. Okay. Now here's a trick again. In the event that you forget to run the script command or for some reason it doesn't work, I don't know why it wouldn't, but just in case it doesn't work, there's still a respite. You can go to, after typing everything and you're done with your logs, um, you can always go to the edit, select all, go back to edit, select copy. The shortcut is Shift Control C, Shift Control V, right? So that's for copy. So copy, and you can paste it into um, any notepad you have available. I'm going to use LeafPad. All right, I love a LeafPad because it doesn't come standard on Ubuntu. I actually had to install it differently, but just use any notepad you got. And right there, I have my notes. Now you will see the effect of what I'm talking to you about. Yep, as you can see, I actually have the sections, right? Okay, now let's say I want to search from one section to the other. Wow, that's actually good. One of the reasons why I love the copy instead of the script is because I actually can go and copy everything. I can starting the script, put that in there. Now, the reason why I will prefer using the script only for login, so using this copy paste, is simply because you do have a limited buffer that the system is going to store in regards to logging using select all or just copying what you have on screen or on your terminal console. You don't have a buffer, and except you modifying your preferences, the size of the buffer you have to something incredulous to make sure you capture every traffic or every packet that is spewed out onto your screen. Especially if you're running debug, it might become a problem. More so, you'll be using up memory anyway. So I always prefer using it as a file instead of as memory so as to make my operations more efficient. That's why I use TypeScript. It's actually called TypeScript command, but is used using the command really is script, but the TypeScript command, and that way I can make log files and save everything to the log file. So I'm not really concerned if I lose anything out in my memory buffer or for the console. If I lose anything, I still have it inside the file for use. Now, one of the tricks I'm going to show you here, let's say I'm going to search for, yeah, let's search for sections. Let's move between sections. So I'm going to go and search for this and say find this for me because I know that's the first one. I'm going to use find again. Find next. See, it takes me to the next one, logging on to R. Then I'm going to say find next in case there's any more. Takes me to the next one, running config. You understand? So that's how, because instead of me scrolling and paging up and down, I can actually go between one section to the other and have no problems understanding um, the data I'm seeing in my log file. So I'm seeing that this data is as a result of me logging in. The command I used is this, and after using this command, this is what is spewed out, right? I can look through it if I want to understand SSH authentication. That's a different class entirely. Logging onto R, I use this, and I can see telnet session. This is how it starts. You can see telnet session trying and all that. I can see the log, the router starting and spewing out that interfaces are available, and that's how we work. All right, so uh, one more thing. I need to make this as fast as I can. One more thing is in the event that you're done and you want to disconnect, please remember to always disconnect, please, once you're done with your sessions. The first thing you need to do is to type in Control Shift at the same time, Control Shift 6 at the same time, and then X afterwards. That backs you out of the connection to the router. Now, if you notice also that once you log into a router, the title changes, which is why I said Don't worry about the title, just do them one at a time. It's more seamless. In Putty, you actually have to manually change the title or title your connections. Otherwise, it's much more difficult to manage to find out what is what. I can actually switch from one. This is router one, this is router two. You know, you may not have that. You don't have that ability in using Putty. Um, Next, what I would advise you to do after you're done, you finish with the connection or the lab is finished, please disconnect from the access server. And you can do that using disconnect command. But before you do that, you need to do show user. Um, I would actually do this if you don't do it. This is what I'll do. I'll do this if you guys don't do it. I'll just check show users, see those who are still logged into the server, access server. Right here, I can see GNS R1, GNS R2. I can see the time and if possible the location. And I can go here and just I know that the current window I'm on is for router 2 and this is for router 1. So you see router 1 still there. I'm going to use the disconnect command. So that's the disconnect command. I'm going to just give you guys see more information there. So I'm going to disconnect SSH command, SSH connections. Um, Number of active SSH connections. Um, the number of the active SSH connection. So it should be one or two, but it should be one and two. But I was zero actually, VTY zero, VTY one. So I'm going to start with VTY zero, um, and I think that should be done. That should do it. Now, if I do show users, you can see I only have one, and then I do the same thing here. But I'll change this to one, and I'm out. So that's how you disconnect console or any session you have to the routers or to any router, whether via V2I or via console. Just disconnect. And once you're done, if you want to close your terminal, just type exit. Um, Actually, type exit to stop the TypeScript once you're done. So you can see TypeScript done. I'm going to do the same thing with router 1 here and say exit. So that stops the TypeScript. And if I want to exit completely, I say exit. That closes the terminal. All right. So I do hope that this session was useful and educative. If you have any questions, please feel free to send me an email or otherwise contact us on the forums. And I'll show you the forums right now. Um, okay, so on the forums, you feel free to contact me on the forums or contact anybody on the forums, and someone knowledgeable will attend to you. This is the Facebook forum, Cisco CCNA study group, and we do have Google Hangout forum, CCNA Hangout study group. So feel free to make your request, and someone would definitely get back to you. All right, cha cha. See you guys later.